Several investigations in the country where 5-6 years ago police just shot dogs, period. Now they're getting sued and losing. So they're being more conscious of it. There's an Atlanta police officer named Amy Solner who has been an advocate for years. I've worked for this agency twice. I worked here in the 90s, and I was a supervisor in the late 90s, and then I left and I ran a shelter for a while, and then I came a small shelter, and then I came back here. But I met Amy in 97 or 98. It was like 4 in the morning. I was doing night call, and this chick's knocking on the window, and I thought she was a crack hoe. But she was, you know, and she had a dog with her, right? And she's like, "Let me in." And I'm like, "Yeah, right. Sure, I'm gonna do that." And she said, "No, I'm the police." I said, "Yeah, sure you are." And so she pulls out the little badge, and that's where I met Amy. She was undercover prostitute. She was on prostitute sting, and so I always, when I go out and I'm out in public with her speaking, I say, "I remember Amy when she was a prostitute," you know. But I have to make the point it was undercover, you know. So anyway, she's been an advocate for years, and she pitched a deal to Chief Turner to educate the cops on animal handling, and she's put together a program that's now in the academy, and it's wonderful. This girl is amazing.
Somebody else was telling us about that. I think from the Himsa House.
Himsa House was
Oh, Himsa House came out here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're wonderful too. I have to use the police for felony cruelties because there's different level of law. There's a federal law. What you got? Federal law. You've got state law. Hey, baby. You've got county law or code. You got city law. You go down to homeowners association. You can get stricter as you come down. If the feds have something they talk about, where they have a federal animal cruelty statute. They have law for what can and can't occur. It's fairly loose, but you can come down and make it stronger, but you can't make it weaker. So if I look at a law on the county level, and that's what we enforce, the county level, I can't do something less than what the state law demands that we do. If the state law says you have to have a shelter for the dog, you can't do this or that, the county law has to at least do that. We can increase it, and then the city can even get tougher. For instance, the city, we'll talk about horses. Because there's a lot of problems with like carriage horses and stuff, cruelty with them, or alleged cruelty with them. But the county law, as far as maintaining a horse, if you've got natural shelter, which is trees, in summertime, if you've got a stand of trees, that will count as a shelter for a horse. It won't count for a dog, but it'll count as a shelter for a horse. And your animal is 150 feet away from the nearest occupied dwelling, you could keep this animal. So if you were out in the county, outside of the city of Atlanta, and you want a horse at your house, you can have one in your backyard if your neighbor isn't too close to you, you know, yada yada. The city of Atlanta put their own caveat in there. You got to have 1 acre per horse. So if you don't have an acre, you can't have a horse at all. But believe it or not, there's 2 down on Aileen Avenue right now that I'm dealing with. And Aileen Avenue, man, that deal, you know, I mean, that's the city, right? And Guy is a great guy. I like him, but he can't have the horses there. So law, then you get down like breed-specific legislation. Folks talk to you about that. Yeah. It's trying to make pitties illegal, essentially. And that's one of the reasons that the news trolls the police report. They just did a piece that all the activists are all upset about because some animal control guy in Henry County, I think, said, "Oh yeah, they're a lot stronger. They're more of a problem because they're a lot stronger." Well, the thing about pit bulls, all right, I can look at this pit bull and I can tell that she is stronger than a Cocker Spaniel. I can tell that because I can look at her. I can look at you and I can see that you're stronger than a Cocker Spaniel. I can see that she's got more jaw strength, but when they say things like they lock, Yeah, that's what they said, right. AK-47 to the dogs. Now she is. She's a horrible dog, man. She's a horrible dog. Yeah. So I can look at her and see she's stronger than a lot of dogs, but I don't know what her jaw strength is. They say, well, they've got 2,200 pounds of per square inch. How do you know that? If I set up a boxing, what do you call that, the standing bag or whatever, you can measure your strength, because I know that I can say, I need you to hit that thing with all you got, and I can know what you're putting on there, whether it's 1,800 pounds, I don't know how that stuff works, but it'll say, and I can hit it, and mine will be a lot less than what you hit it in, but we can measure it. If I say to her, bite this thing, let me see what your jaw strength is, what am I going to get? I don't know whether that's what her jaw strength is. I see that baby girl has some jaw strength. I do see that. I see that she's muscular. They do not have locking jaws. Their jaws don't lock. There's no mechanism that these dogs lock their jaws. They're strong, but this is what the public thinks, that they will lock their jaws until they kill you, and they just got all these misconceptions about the animals. The problem is, if I were to say, or if the news was to say to me, well, is it true that 65% of the dog bites in Fulton County, and I'm throwing that figure out there, I don't know if that's what it is, but it's significant, that 65% of the bites in Fulton County are pit bulls. And I would say, yeah, that's true. But 65% of the dogs in Fulton County are pit bulls. So that's 65 is just if we went into the shelter, I bet you that 75% have pity in them of some type. I mean, pit bulls are immensely popular. They became more popular after Katrina. And the 9th Ward came here en masse from New Orleans. They really did. And they brought their pitties with them. And of course, they mushroomed all over. They exploded all over the country as a popular dog, because there had been other dogs that had been popular. That Cocker Spaniel was popular. I grew up with boxers. Boxers are not a big step away from this right here. I mean, they're similar.
I think she's got some boxer in.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they're a bully breed. They are, and they're wonderful dogs. I had, matter of fact, my dad passed away in 2009, and I found some of his stuff. I didn't want to go through his stuff. He had my dog Duke, which was really his dog when I was a baby. That's the first animal I remember, was a big brindle boxer. And I used to pull on him and all kinds of crap that, they're okay with that. They're okay with it. Pitties are okay with that generally too. Now, would I leave my baby with a dog I don't know? No, I would not. Would I leave my baby with my dog? No, I would not. And go like to a neighbor or something like that. But as far as being good with babies, yeah, boxers, real good with babies. Pit bulls, real good with babies. Pit bulls were called the nanny dog. We were in love with pit bulls as a nation, from Teddy Roosevelt on up through Stubby, which is Sergeant Stubby, and they got a group called Stubby's Heroes. Sergeant Stubby was a pit bull in World War I. He was across the pond in the fighting, and decorated dog. People loved him. Spanky in our gang, Little Rascals, Petey, it's a pit bull. Now, what is a pit bull? That's a pit bull, kinda. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, but the term pit bull is a classification. It's not really a breed. They mixed several breeds of dogs, and that's all it is in breeding is I'm gonna put dogs together till I get kind of what I want, and they're like the doodles. They got Labradoodles, and that's a big, chic dog, golden doodles. They mix a poodle with a lab or a golden. I haven't seen a pitty doodle, but I'm sure that, I don't know what that would look like, but I'm sure it's coming.
Breed like a pit.
Yeah, really. And they do it, originally they did it because they're hypoallergenic. The poodles have different type of hair And for allergies and stuff, it's better. But it's very chic to have these dogs. So when you breed dogs and they've arrived at legitimate breeds that we all recognize. We recognize the Doberman Pinscher. Dobermans were generally they're connected with macho. Unfortunately, as dudes, we bear a responsibility for ruining these dogs because the macho dog of the 70s was a Doberman. What was that show with Tom Selleck? Yeah, exactly. And there were two Dobies in there. Higgins called them the lads. Yeah. Lads, you know, and they were beautiful Dobies, all right? Dobies were the bomb, and everybody wanted a Dobie. Then The Omen came out, the movie The Omen with Damien, a little badass Damien. But Rottweilers were in there, and everybody, I'd only seen one Rottweiler in my life up there. When I lived in New York, I saw one. So Rottweilers weren't down here. Nobody's seen that dog. Atlanta didn't have Rottweilers. Now everybody wants a Rottweiler, you know. So all of a sudden the Dobies were let off the hook and the Rottweilers ruled. Everybody wanted a Rottie. And Rotties used to go for $2,500. They have screwed them up. I mean, breeding them, you can't really find a real Rottweiler anymore, which is exactly what happens to pitties. You got this beautiful girl, doesn't really look, you know, they're pitties, right? But they look different. You know, I mean, it's like they've been jacked up. So after the Rotties were Chows. Chows were immensely popular here. I don't know about nationally, but everybody had a Chow here in the 90s. They were just it. I don't know where they went. You can't even find them anymore. We don't see any Chows. German Shepherds have been popular. They were kind of back in the 50s. But 1988, Newsweek did a story on pit bulls and fighting pit bulls, and that was it. It started taking off, man. It kind of came in. He really came in with crack cocaine, because crack cocaine was kind of hitting between 85 and, you know, crack cocaine changed neighborhoods, man. Changed everything. And now this meth is even worse. You know, there's some bad stuff out there. I ain't telling y'all nothing you don't know. There's some bad stuff, and where there's some bad stuff, there's some horrific acts being perpetrated against these animals. I mean, it just blows my mind. So those of us in activism are, and you are advocates now, and I suspect when you get out, you'll stay with it. I mean, it's once you get hooked. I worked with these animals for years because I was in animal control, but animal control was more about the relationship between the law and the person. The animal was secondary. You know, in the old days, it has changed now. Everything is changing with the rescue groups and with Pet Finder and all these things on the internet. I mean, my Facebook is full up with my old friends block me because they don't want to see this stuff. I mean, it's like, and I don't either. I mean, I get home and I'll pull it up and they're posting some poor dog that's been tore up, and I've seen this all day. It's really not, I mean, you're not shocking me. It's so sometimes I block people, you know. I mean, it's just everywhere. If I pull my Facebook up right now, there might be something that's not dog, maybe the 25th entry. Everything else is dog. But I also use it as a tool to see what's going on. Einstein was a dog that we had over there that just got rescued like minutes before he went down, right? So, and it's not that they're trying to put anything down, honestly. They're not trying to put anything down, but that's a full shelter. And Einstein was a 9-year-old pit bull that we adopted out originally in 2005 as people turned him in. All right, how you do that? How you turn in your dog? I don't want him anymore. Really? So they try to readopt him, and who wants a 9-year-old pit bull? It's really tough to do. So he went on the urgent page. I thought Einstein was doomed. I patted him on the head the night before, I guess it was Thursday night. Thought Allison Funderbuck, who's a advocate, beautiful chick. She's got a sweet spirit, and Funderbuck. Check that out, Funderbuck. Do you know her? Or just the name?
I know.
You do? Oh, she took Einstein.
I know. Yeah. I saw.
You did? Okay. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Now, I've met Allison before. I don't know her well, but I saw her post that, and it was great. You know, last second thing.